Good afternoon, everyone. As we had a good meal, I want to just take a moment to introduce a true visionary and change maker, very famously known as MR. Full name is Madhavan Rangaswami, a renowned software executive, investor, entrepreneur, corporate eco-strategy pioneer, community builder, and a philanthropist. He has been a driving force in the rise of Silicon Valley, has held leadership roles, and also he co-founded Sandal Group, which is an investment firm. And also he went to expand his vision for global impact. MR also launched the Corporate Eco Forum in 2007, uniting global 500 companies. In 2012, he founded Indian Diaspora, a powerful movement for all of us connecting the Indian origin leaders worldwide, which collectively embodies success. Without any further ado, I would like to a big round of applause for MR to take the stage. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. Now, everybody knows my full name. And till now, I was just known as M.R. Rangaswami, till my name was revealed. So anyway, good to be here. It's great to see so many people of Tamil origin in one place, and a great set of volunteers who actually pulled this whole thing together in a quality way. So a round of applause for the volunteers. You guys have done a great job. So when I was asked to come and speak here, I said, what do you want me to speak about? And they said, talk about your life. I don't have that extraordinary a life, but I'll try to make it more interesting as we go along. So I came here, one of the early immigrants in the 70s, in the 1970s. And at that time, the Indian government only gave us $8 of foreign exchange to leave the country. It's crazy. You'd go to the Reserve Bank of India, you'd give how many ever rupees, you got $8 in dollar bills, single dollar bills. And that's the money we got to come to this country at that time. So I had my brother's friend's brother meet me in New York's airport at JFK, right? And I was really scared if this guy didn't meet me in the crowd of people, what would I do that night, right? It was that was kind of the way we all came here. But then I saw the warmth of this country. When I was going to college, my sister-in-law in upstate New York had given me all the masala, all the sambar puri, all the stuff in a nice box, all the pots and pans, and I had to take a Greyhound bus. I don't even know if Greyhound buses exist anymore, but, right, they do? Okay, good to know. So I took a Greyhound bus, and when I got down at my college, the box was missing. Somebody had stolen the box, okay? But that's when I saw the warmth of the American people at that time. I had a host family, an American family, and as soon as they found out I'd lost the thing, they went to Kmart, they bought all the pots and pans. They couldn't replace the spices, but that's when I really saw the warmth of America, right? And today, that's become very different. In those days, the America I knew was warm, welcoming, supportive of immigrants. And it's upon us immigrants who are in this room now to change that narrative, right? When immigrants come, they work hard, they make money, they create jobs. Immigrants don't steal jobs, okay? The whole narrative has to be changed, correct? And there is data behind this. When immigrants come in, a neighborhood improves. When immigrants come in, things are safer in the neighborhood. Lots of things happen, but that narrative has been taken away from us. And so what we did at Indiaspora, for example, and this is something I would urge all of you to do, is to go to the website, and we have something called the Indiaspora Impact Report. Okay, just go to the website, and there's a set of infographics. Just download that. There are 40 graphics of how the Indian diaspora has contributed to the United States, okay? And if one thing you can do is send that to 10 of your friends. Download that infographics, send it to 10 of your friends. Okay, we just need to change this narrative. And those infographics tell the story, right? The Indian community is 1% of the US population. We pay, get this, 6% of the taxes. Indian Americans, all of us here, we pay 6% of the taxes of the United States. Okay, we're not stealing jobs. We're paying, otherwise the United States will have a bigger deficit if we didn't pay our, so if people tell us to go home, we'll take the 6% with us, okay? That's how we need to tell people when they confront us in these ways, whether it's on Twitter or otherwise, okay? So I had a very simple life. I got my MBA, and then I went to Houston, Texas to get a job, because at that time in Ohio there were no jobs. So I went to Houston. Houston was booming. I got a job, but it was in a manufacturing company. It was a dead-end job, and I was spending time there at work. I went for training one weekend, and that day changed my life. When I went for training, the trainer asked me to tell me about yourself. What's your background? What do you do? I said, I have an MBA. I use computers. He said, what the heck are you doing in Houston, Texas? You should be in Silicon Valley. This was 1982, okay? There were no internet, no LinkedIn, no Facebook, nothing. So how does one find out about Silicon Valley? I lived in Houston. I didn't know anything about Silicon Valley. But I went to the library, I tried to get some newspapers, some things like that, learn up on Silicon Valley, sent out a bunch of resumes by regular US postage service, postal mail, and one company was crazy enough to call me on the phone, do a phone interview, then fly me out to Silicon Valley and give me a job. So that's how I ended up in Silicon Valley in 1982. And in 1982, there were 10,000 Indians in Silicon Valley. 10,000 Indians, okay? 43 years later, there's 450,000 Indians. Just see the growth of the Indian community. In my first company I worked at, I was the only Indian in the company. It was like 30 Americans and one Indian, and that's how I got started in those days. And I didn't know the company I joined was a startup. There was no term called startup in 1982. So I joined this company. The first year did 2 million in sales or something like that. Second year did 4 million in sales. Third year did 8 million in sales. I thought I was on to something. And then the fourth year, they declared bankruptcy and went Chapter 11, right? And this is the dark side of startups, okay? 90% plus of startups fail. And a lot of you in the audience have been through some of these failures, right? 90% of the companies fail, maybe 5 to 7% do okay, and then maybe 1% does really well. They become unicorns and actually get liquidity, right? So that's how I found out what a startup was. And there was no term called startups. So then I went to a company called Oracle, because my old boss had gone to Oracle. He said, hey, Larry Ellison wants some people who know application software. So Larry hired me into Oracle at that time. And it was a small company. So my cubicle was outside Larry's office. And what a great guy to learn from. I mean, every day he'd come in and say, hey, what are you doing? And he was such a quick learner, and he would take even little tidbits of what information I and other people would give him, and the next day he'd make a speech, and he would make this sound incredibly amazing, right? Larry's one of the best marketeers, and Larry is one of these guys who taught us that it's not only you should succeed, but everybody else should fail. That was his motto. I don't succeed, I don't subscribe to that philosophy, but that's what he believed in. So we had a take no prisoners kind of attitude, and I was there at Oracle when we went from 100 million to 250 million to 500 million to $1 billion. So it was a great 4 years at Oracle, but I really wanted to go back to a startup. So when I was leaving the company, Larry had broken his shoulder. He's a very outdoors kind of guy. He'd gone surfing and broken his shoulder. So he typed out an email to me with one hand, And the email said, if you ever want to come back, MR, the door is wide open. So I printed that immediately and kept that as an insurance policy. In case, maybe now is a good time to go work for Oracle, right? It's a great time to go. So that was my stint at Oracle. I went back to another startup. And again, this was a hot startup in the application space. The first year we did, I think, like 4 million. Second year was 10 million. Third year was 30 million. And guess, you know what happened then, right? Chapter 11, company went broke. Okay? So this is the life you lead in Silicon Valley. Lots of failures. I know people who have done 4, 5, 6 companies and still not had that success, but they keep trying. And you, how many of you are entrepreneurs? Pretty much everyone, right? You guys are going to keep trying till you succeed. And that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur. Then another break came along where a company I had told investors about, they'd gone and invested in this company. And when they found out I was going to be leaving, they said, why don't you come be the chief marketing officer? We're going to go public in a few months. We're going to write the prospectus, choose bankers, do the roadshow, and we want you to be part of the team. So I joined that company next. And we did a roadshow in 3 continents. We traveled 25,000 miles, most of it by private jet. And Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley were our bankers. And we had an IPO and it was wildly successful. The problem with a successful company is in the first year I worked there, I traveled 300,000 miles. 300,000 miles. And when I realized this was when you had to turn in your expense reports, I'd be gone for 5 days, but I'd only have hotel rooms for 3 nights. And then I'd think I was losing a receipt or something, right? That's when you figured out you were sleeping on the plane for those couple of nights. When you traveled from Amsterdam to Singapore, you slept on the plane and you didn't have a hotel room. So I then wanted to really focus on having a family, and I was traveling so much, we couldn't have kids. And I lost my father when I was 10 years old. So I really wanted to have kids, and I really also wanted to kind of be a stay-at-home dad, although I'm not today. So what I did was I quit my job after 2 years at this company, which was wildly successful, and did nothing. I said, I'm quitting to do something else. I didn't know what that was. But soon, you know, my wife was pregnant. We had a baby. And then I said, let me just work out of a home office. I didn't want to have an office or an assistant ever again. So opened an office at home. And then a couple of friends of mine were saying, you know, why don't you come help startups? So went and met some young companies, ended up investing in them and helping those companies. And then people thought I was a venture capitalist. They'd all come and say, you're a VC. And I'd say, I'm not a VC. VCs take other people's money and invest, right? I invest my own money, not someone else's money. And there was no term for what that kind of investor was. And one day, the Wall Street Journal found out about me, and the editor calls up and says, we're going to fly out a reporter from New York to follow you for 3 days in Silicon Valley. Is that okay? So I agreed to it, and there was a reporter who flew out and spent morning to night with me at all my meetings, breakfast, lunch, dinners, all the things. And she goes back and says, I'm going to write a story on you, and it's going to be in the 3rd section of the Wall Street Journal, which covers technology. But instead, she calls me on a Friday evening and says, the editors like the story so much, they're going to put you on the front page. So on Monday morning at 6 a.m., I'm sleeping and the phone rings. And I pick up the phone. A friend of mine from New York says, hey, you're on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. There's a 3-hour time difference, right? So I don't even subscribe to the Wall Street Journal, so I had to go down the street to the grocery store to buy the journal, and that was cool. I give the newspaper to the guy at the counter, and he goes, hey, that's your photo. So that was my 15 minutes of fame. The first week, I never picked up my phone. I had over 1,000 phone calls, and that's when I knew the power of the media. 1,000 phone calls, people wanting to give me money, people wanting to get my money. I mean, it was a very interesting experience. And I remember a couple of the deals that were being pitched, so please don't try to pitch these kind of deals. One was for a 3D television set. I still haven't seen that come into fruition, right? This was in like 1997. The other one was really crazy. So again, thank God in those days we didn't have video conferencing, okay? So a guy calls and says, I got to pitch you my business. So I go, what is your business? He says, I run a colony, a hotel and a resort colony. And I say, okay, what kind of colony is it? He says, I run a nudist resort colony. I'm not kidding. I had visions of this guy standing naked in a pool, right? I'm going, oh my God. So I used to get all kinds of deals, but that's when the term angel investing got coined by the Wall Street Journal, when they said, meet this angel investor, and they put angel in quotes. But that means they're using that word for the first time in the newspaper. So I ended up becoming an angel investor. I didn't know the term. I've done about 150 deals over 25 years, about 5 or 6 deals a year. And what that transpired was that made me not have a job ever again. So I've not had a job in, I think, 27, 28 years. I've forgotten. 27, 28, just because every year I get some kind of exit from one of these investments, and that keeps me happy. So what I ended up doing was able to follow my own passion, and my passion is to build communities. So the first community I started was for like teams. It was a CEO group of tech CEOs in Silicon Valley. And this was not an Indian group. It was maybe 10% of the CEOs were Indians. It was a mainstream American organization. And I thought first I would start this to make money. So I said, everybody's going to pay $10,000 to attend this conference, and I would make a ton of money as well. But when I sent the first set of invitations out, everybody called up and said, we're not going to come because we don't see the difference between this and 100 other conferences that were going on. And then I made probably one of the best decisions in my life. I said, what if I make this conference a charitable event? Everybody pays $10,000, and we give all the profits to nonprofits. Okay? This conference is called Enterprise. It became widely successful. I've done this for 15 years. We've given away over $2.5 million to nonprofits, and another $25 million through CSR from all the CEOs who showed up at the event. And that's when I accidentally became a philanthropist, as they say. But I found that so gratifying to be able to find startup nonprofits, bring them into this event, to be with successful CEOs, and learn from the best. At the same time, the CEOs liked meeting each other to discuss inside issues. We'd discuss issues like firing your board, firing your management team, selling your company, whatever you wanted to do, because there was no media, no reporters. I know there's one reporter in this room, somewhere down there. So that room had no reporters. So it was a great time to do that. And that's when I really got so much out of building a community to do good. Then I had 2 young daughters. They were 10 and 8. And one of my friends said, why don't you do something in the green space, in sustainability? So then I went and started looking at what I could do there, and I thought I'd do the same thing, start a CEO group for startup CEOs doing green tech and clean tech. But when I interviewed about 70 executives in the Fortune 500, I found out that the biggest challenge that I could satisfy and the problems were in the Fortune 500 companies. So I ended up creating a second organization called the Corporate Eco Forum, which has now become, in 17 years, I still run it as a founder, 17 years has become the largest group of companies to work on climate change issues. We have 90 different members, including Amazon, Apple, Disney, Ford, General Motors, and others. They have a title in the company called Chief Sustainability Officer. So we bring them all together for a 3-day retreat every year and talk about all the issues to do with climate change. And I just came here from New York, where we had a bunch of Climate Week meetings this past week in New York City. So that I found was my second passion, is to really see what we could do to reduce climate risks. And the nice thing was my older daughter has now become an environmental scientist. So at least I have something I've given to the next generation in terms of what I've been doing. And then finally, I was also helping an organization in India called NASSCOM. They are a IT services trade organization in India. And I kept calling them and saying, you got to create software companies because services companies can't scale as much, and it's a very risky business because, you know, for example, H-1B visas now and stuff, right, can happen. So they then invited me to start an event with them around products. It was called the NASSCOM Product Conclave, and I ended up for 10 years taking a delegation of executives from Silicon Valley to India to impart knowledge about how to start companies. We did boot camps. We did all kinds of events in India, 1 week a year in Bangalore. I took people like Vinod Khosla and many others from Silicon Valley to inspire all these people. But then the travel to India once a year just to do this, the nightly phone calls to set all these events up. I said, let me try and do something in the US. And that's when I got the idea of an organization where the diaspora could all get together and do things that had never been done before. So I went and talked to about 100 community leaders in our own community and said, what is there, what is not there, what's missing, what is good, what is bad. And what I found out in our community was we were siloed into ethnic communities. We would have the Tamil Sangam, the Gujarati Samaj, the Marathi Mandal, and so forth. And there was no one uniting organization, or you had Thai, or you have teams, but your focus is very specific. It's around entrepreneurship, right? And we wanted to build an organization that had doctors and lawyers and academics and artists and authors, everybody to come together. And that's when I ended up starting Indiaspora to be a force for good, to create an organization that brought all of us together, whether you were Tamilian or Gujarati or Marathi or Sikh, together. And we started this in 2012. And as an entrepreneur, you take a lot of risks. So one of the risks we took was we said, we want to be politically active. And this was end of 2012, and Barack Obama had gotten reelected. So we had this crazy idea. We said, I'm sure you guys are doing this too. What if we had a presidential ball for a US president? I said, okay, let's go do it. So we got one of the best hotels in Washington, DC, the Mandarin Oriental, and paid the deposit. We got 1,300 Indian Americans to come. They're wearing beautiful saris and kurtas and pajamas, and President Obama sent his sister. We did all this, but I forgot one thing. Indians were cheap. And so we ended up losing $250,000 in doing this event, okay, which we had to pay for. So as entrepreneurs, you take risk. Even as nonprofit entrepreneurs, we take risk. So sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. The way we won was we started becoming a political force in Washington, right? But somebody had to pay the price. It also caused a lot of Indian Americans to run for office. And we funded a lot of these Indian Americans individually, right? Raja Krishnamurthy, Ro Khanna, Pramila Jayapal, Ami Bera, Suhas Subramaniam, all these people are now in Congress. So in 2017, we held another gala in Washington where people like Nancy Pelosi and senators and all came and said, Indian Americans are now have become a force in politics. Okay, so we've done political stuff. Then we got into more on the philanthropy side. During COVID, for example, I mean, you know how much India suffered during COVID. So we couldn't stop, we couldn't say no. So we went to all our members in the community, and in 1 month, Indiaspora raised $15 million for relief in India, in 1 month, including $2 million for Tamil Nadu. We had a campaign called Help Tamil Nadu Breathe, and we brought people like Vijay Amritraj, we brought lots of people, all collectively together. We raised $2 million out of the $15 million for our own state. So we got now involved in philanthropy to an extent. We have a separate NGO called India Philanthropy Alliance that just works on giving to India. And we do something called the India Giving Day every year. And all of you in tech will understand this, right? Being online is something you can scale. Yeah, we can do $15 million in 1 month, but we have to make so many phone calls and get so many checks. It's not going to scale from 15 million to 30 million or 45 million. But we did one thing called the India Giving Day. 2 years ago, we started it. It's 1 day of online giving, and there's a list of charities in India that you can support. You go click on the name, a dollar amount in your credit card, and that's it, you're done. First year, and we modeled it after, do you guys know something called Giving Tuesday in the United States? Giving Tuesday is an interesting phenomenon in the US. It started, I think, about 10 or 15 years ago. So you have Black Friday, right? You have Thanksgiving, you have turkey, then you have Black Friday. Saturday, Sunday, you watch football. And then Monday, you have, what is Monday called? Cyber Monday, right? And so by Tuesday, you have a big headache. You've done all these things. So actually, they called it Giving Tuesdays. They made everybody feel guilty. And Giving Tuesday, you gave money to people, or to charities. And Giving Tuesday now has become several $1 billion of giving in 1 day. So we modeled India Giving Day after that. The first year, we made $1.4 million for India. 20 different organizations got $1.4 million. Last year, we did it, we got $5.5 million. This year, we got $9 million, okay? We think in 5 to 10 years, it could become $100 million of giving. And that's where the beauty of online stuff, e-commerce, all these things make sense, right? More than doing donations physically. So that's some of the work Indiaspora does in philanthropy. We've done work in, like I said, politics. We were also behind the Diwali stamp. I know a lot of us don't use stamps anymore, but we did end up getting a stamp in 2016 because the community had been trying for 10 years to get a Diwali stamp. And it resulted in arguments, which this community will appreciate, right? Is it Diwali or Deepavali? So I said, no more of that, it's Diwali, let's go. Even though I'm a Tamilian, I said, majority of the people call it Diwali, let's go with one name, right? And the previous organizers said, okay, we'll do an online petition. So they gathered 400,000 signatures, okay? 400,000 signatures, they presented it to the Postmaster General. What does she think? If you do it online, you'll never use stamps, right? So they didn't know the customer, and this is another thing as entrepreneurs, right? You have to know who your customer is. If you take the US Postmaster General an online petition, what are they going to think? So we scrapped the whole thing and we went to a postage stamp-based campaign. We had 20,000 people write postcards and letters to the Postmaster General. And soon enough, next year we got a stamp, right? So again, knowing your customer. You have to know, these are all things that entrepreneurs do that we used as well in nonprofit space, right? But that stamp might have seemed innocuous, what's in a stamp? But what people then in our community did was they took that to the city of New York. And they said, look, we're a mainstream holiday. We're like Hanukkah and Eid and Christmas. And so the school district now in New York City tells Indian kids they can take an optional holiday on Diwali. Just think what a stamp can do. Now the next thing that has happened, we took it to Governor Gavin Newsom and the legislature in California. Both the House and the Senate in California voted a bill that says Diwali will become a holiday in California. It's sitting at the governor's desk. He's supposed to sign it any day now as a state holiday, right? So sometimes these small things can have big consequences later on in life. So these are the kind of projects we've done. Then we decided we need to become a global organization. There are about 35 million of us who are in the diaspora, 35 million. 5 million live in the US. Okay, this is the most successful, largest diaspora amongst the Indian diaspora, right? Then UAE is 4 million, and then you have UK and Canada with about 2 million each, and Australia is now 1 million, believe it or not. I think Australia, 4 or 5% of Australians are Indians. It's a crazy number, right? And Australia calls Indians a national asset, very different than this country. The Australian Prime Minister has actually called Indian Australians a national asset of Australia. Amazing, right? So we decided we'll make Indiaspora global. So we have chapters in UK, Canada, Singapore, UAE, Australia, and we even have a chapter in India, believe it or not. There are a lot of expat Indians living there that want to connect with their brothers and sisters outside. Now, think of this. This is the other thing that recently we've come up with. We're trying to get a number on the income of this 35 million people. We think the approximate income, which is equivalent to GDP, is about shocking. This is a shocking number. What do you think the number is? Income of 35 million Indians living outside of India. Anyone want to guess? Give a number. How did you know? It is actually, the estimate is $1 trillion. It's like a top 10 economy in the world, right? So, but instead of bragging, what we need to do is we need to give. We need to give back, and we have to be good citizens in the countries we live in. That's why at Indiaspora we have a program called Give Where You Live. And we also have a program of giving to India. We need to do both. We need to do both. So in a couple of weeks we'll be releasing a report which documents how much money Indian Americans have given to education in the US, to colleges. So just to give you a feel for how we give in the US, Indian Americans in the US have given $10 billion to temples. To temples, okay? Don't clap too much. But we need to be giving more to other causes, right? It's good to give to temples because the US was the same way. 50 years ago, 2/3 of American giving were to churches. But over 50 years, it's declined rapidly. It's now only 1/3 of money goes to churches. Things go to healthcare, education, women's empowerment, climate change. So we need to move down this continuum, right? So we're going to announce a report in a couple of weeks. This is not for the press, Vishnu. I know you're in the audience. So don't publish this. But we will be announcing that Indian Americans in the last 25, 30 years have given $3 billion to universities. You can clap for this. $3 billion. Just imagine, because we all came here to study, right? When we got our education, we give back to universities where we went to study. This is a big amount, $3 billion. Just think of that number. And so we need to publicize these things. And part of the immigrant problem stealing the jobs is we don't tell people enough of what we do. I mean, did you know, for example, we have 75,000 doctors of Indian origin in the US. 75,000, that's not the important thing. They serve 30 million patients in the US. 10% of this country is served by an Indian doctor, one of us. So these are the statistics in our report you need to tell your non-Indian friends, okay? Please get this report and send it to people and say, hey, 10% of people in this country are taken care of by my people. We got to do that, okay? Same thing with professors. We have 22,000 professors in colleges in the US. They teach between 3 and 5 million college kids. I mean, this is huge. They're not just making money, they're teaching this country. They're giving medical care to people in this country. It's not, we don't want to be thought of as, these guys are making a lot of money. That is not what we want to be known for, right? We want to be known for, for example, 10% of the patents in this country are filed by Indian Americans. Okay, 10% of the patents. Just think of that. This is the kind of work we do in this country we should feel proud about, and not about stealing a job or things like that, okay? So that's the latest report we've done. Indiaspora's job is not done yet. We now need to tackle this $1 trillion GDP that our 35 million have and see how we can be a force for good to give that money to different causes, to different programs, to different initiatives, and really become, do seva, right? Because the Indian ethos is all about selfless service or seva, giving to people. We did a report about 8 years ago. We found Indian Americans don't give as much money to charities, but the accounting is a little flawed. We've done a new report we're going to be launching in 2 weeks, which shows the amount of giving we do is increasing. And our giving is different because it's not just checking a box in your tax form in terms of tax deductions. That's what the IRS gives us data on. Indians give in different ways too. We might give to a relative in India. That's not a tax deductible event, so that doesn't go in these numbers, right? Or we send it to a charity in India, in my village or in my town. That doesn't go in these numbers. So we do give a lot, but some of it is reported, some is not. But these are the kinds of things we are doing at Indiaspora to really make sure that the world knows that the Indians are a good group of people. Indians give, Indians help. And with that, I want to close. I think I've taken up too much of your time. Thank you. I don't know about time, any time for questions. I don't know if anyone has.
We can take like 1 or 2 questions at most.
Yes, please.
Can you tell us one thing about the climate change, what was successfully implemented?
In climate change?
Yes.
Okay, question on climate change. This group, again, is a closed membership group, so we don't talk about accomplishments because it's a closed group. But this group has worked on things like collecting together and buying renewable energy, things like that. So if just one company buys renewable energy, there's not enough economics to build out a solar farm. But if 5 or 10 or 15 companies say, hey, I'll buy, you can build a solar farm or a wind farm and things like that. So they've done a lot of collaborations like that. They've also done collaborations committing to natural capital, which is reforestation and planting trees and doing projects like that. So a lot of projects go on. They're announced by individual companies, and so we don't really disclose those externally. Thank you. By the way, climate change is one of the...
One more, please, go ahead.
Okay.
One of the areas we don't fund enough on the nonprofit side. It comes after all the others, education, healthcare, kids, and climate change doesn't get much money. Yes?
One last question. From a non-profit point of view, any effort into cleaning Kuam in Chennai?
Maybe this group can take it up. But I tell you, the problem with rivers is this, right? And even in the Ganga, they're finding the same problem. It's not dredging and cleaning what's there. It's the effluents that come all the way down when the river is, upstream and stuff, right? So the tanning factories, a lot of leather waste goes in or chemicals go in, people defecate, all this stuff. So it's a very tough job. I'm sure people can get money, but even with money, you got to change habits. I wish Kuam and Arayar both are things that we'd love to see improve. But living outside of the country, it's hard for us to do it. It has to come from Mr. Arumugam and people like, where's Arumugam?
Actually, currently our government is taking a lot of steps. I think the Kuam project has been under study, and there is a World Bank fund of about 1,200 crores is on the annual. They are going to do it. It's not something easy. Thames River, they tried to do it, but they took about 15 years to clean it. It was much worse than Kuam. So this is a long range project which already on. So sooner you will see Kuam and Adayar is getting clear. The process has started. I think NRAs can definitely support Tamil Nadu.
Yeah, and habits have to change, and yeah.
To a large extent, I think it's all fenced. Now there is nobody can have an access to Kuam.
Okay.
So to a large extent they are protecting, but what happens is the water that flows out of various sources need to be properly, cleaned and put it back to the Kuam. That's what is going. Sooner you will see a clean Kuam.
Okay, thank you,
Dr. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Before we let you off the stage, this was a very informative session. Thank you so much. One question from the audience. Are we doing anything collectively on the tariff side that's impacting this community?
Yeah. So there's a tariff issue, the H-1B issue. By the way, this is off the record. I don't want this quoted or tweeted. Yeah, toted or tweeted. The tariff issue is a different set of problems. The thing is, Indian Americans are torn between being Indians and Americans, right? That itself is an issue. A lot of us are American citizens, and so you have to kind of go, who is it going to help? Is it going to help United States or India. So there's those kinds of issues happening as well. But tariffs aside, that I can't comment on tariffs, but the H-1B situation I can comment on. So in Indiaspora, there's been a lot of anti-Indian hate, especially on Twitter. There's been tons and tons of things saying, go home, you guys are stealing our jobs, we don't want you here, everybody go home and stuff. And so Indiaspora has created a Twitter handle to respond to these. And tongue-in-cheek, our Twitter handle is Real Indian American, okay? You get the joke, real Donald Trump, right? So we have a Twitter handle that only gives back facts on H-1Bs. And we've shown by facts, H-1Bs actually, for example, pay taxes. They actually live in this country. They buy a home or rent a place. They have groceries. They send their kids to school. They spend most of their money here. They're not sending this money to India, right? So we've pointed out all the things of how many patents these people are filing, how much income that they make and spend here. So that's about all we can do at this point. The MAGA base of America has got hold of this as one of their pet peeves. And it's in their hands, and it's in the president's hands. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. M.R. Rangaswamy. This was a very informative session. After lunch, people were so energized, and they are all back into this is impacting me. Let's pay attention, see what I can learn from this. So thank you so much. So now, to give a small award to you, we want to bring Sendil, Yuva, Vasan, Vas, Kanapati sir, Vignesh, and Naren on stage, please. Please give a big hand to Mr. MRR.
Thank you. Thank you.
MR sir talked about the Diwali stamp. So the key thing
he's got it.
that he devoted and brought into action was timely brought out by our Ganapati sir, National President. So it is a big game changer, but only MRR knows the efforts that has gone into to bring this to action. And today we are holding a prestigious one about the efforts that he has done. Thank you. We are proud of you and happy to have you on stage. All the credit. And once again, can we give you a big round of applause and a standing applause, please? I request all of you to stand up and we bow our heads. Thanks for the great thing.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Aram sir, can you please come on stage? And Ganesh Radhakrishnan. Aram sir and Ganesh Radhakrishnan, please. All chapter presidents, please. It's a great moment. Thank you. Thanks for taking the time.
You made my day.
No,
who had
this is
You had it?
yeah.
No, keep it. I have sheets
This is
of it.
for all of us. It was a timely gesture of.
Can you believe he had the Diwali stamp?
Can you zoom this?
He keeps it.
Can you guys on live? Can you zoom? Go live, Papa. Can you guys zoom this? Sir, I want you to hold it.
Yeah, please.
He's the one.
Yeah.
Sir, you also please.
That's good. That's good. Thank you. Yeah. Anytime. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, Sendil. You are. We request all of you to come down. We want to take a group picture with MRR. So this will be a good moment. And once again, request all of you to post it on your LinkedIn handle on our Teams Global. Please come. We'll take a quick picture. All of you, please, quickly. Please.
Oh my God. Mega
Please,
picture.
quickly. Yeah, here. Stage will not be. Everybody. Sir, முன்னாடி வந்துடலாம். Everyone, please. Anybody outside, please? Little quick. Sri, are we good? Can we come closer, all of you?
There also?
I think it will not be able to hold so many people. Can you stand shoulder by shoulder?
She may have to stand on a chair to take the picture. I don't know. She's standing on a chair, yeah.
Sri, cover பண்ண முடியுதா?
Oh.
They need to come closer. Hey, சீக்கிரம் வாங்க. Thank you. Thanks once again.
We're going to have a short tea break now, 5 minutes, and then the women's panel will start right after. 5 minutes for a tea break, please.
Thank you. I hope I was able to